Hello and good afternoon. I'm Mohana for BBTV and you on a special segment called Big Life with me today. And we will be bringing on a special guest, and the topic of the day is Hard Talk on Liquor Ban. All right, without further ado, let's bring on the Member of Parliament for the Segambut constituency, YB Teresa Kok.
Hi Mohana, I'm from Seputeh, not Segambut.
Sorry,
Segambut is
YB.
Hana you.
Segambut is not your constituency, but I got confused with the two big female figures in DAP. My mistake, viewers. It's actually the Member of Parliament for Seputeh since 1999. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, right. And it happens to be home for you for the longest time. And I think a lot of the viewers will also share my sentiment when they say it will be a home for you for a long time more to come, because the people there just seems to be very, very fond of you. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Member of Parliament for Seputeh, YB Teresa Kok from the DAP party, which is also a coalition, a member of the larger coalition, Pakatan Harapan. She also used to be a Minister of Primary Industries under the premiership of the Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, which is also a Pakatan Harapan administration. And YB, you are known as a person who fights for injustice when it comes to a lot of subjects, but particularly when it comes to personal matters such as home and living, family, and things that pertaining users and people who are not really, basically bukan orang kaya lah. You always go for things that will be focusing on people's daily lives, daily necessities kind of a product and all that. And now, although it is not a daily necessity, but it is still a form of enjoyment or entertainment for some people. And now we are talking about alcohol and liquors for the people of Klang Valley or Kuala Lumpur. So YB, let's jump straight into the ban that has been imposed by Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur onto KL businesses, that they are not allowed to sell alcohols, or even if they are allowed to, only certain premises can, and from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. YB, please explain to our viewers, how did we arrive to such a scenario here in KL, Malaysia?
Okay, yeah. Thanks Mohana for inviting me to talk to you and also the audience. The ban, just a brief one, is called Garis Panduan dan Syarat-syarat Permohonan Lesen Minuman Keras atau liquor yang memabukkan Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur. This is a DBKL, this is the directive, the Garis Panduan. So it says those what they call that premises that allow to have lesen minuman keras, that means the liquor, that is pub, bar, lounge, restaurant, gudang, store yang menjual, membekal liquor, that means those store, and also for those program that where they need to serve liquor, they can apply for the license, and also for, you see, the complex perdagangan, the shopping complex beli belah, and then they say this pasar raya, supermarket, complex perdagangan, complex beli belah, and also in pubs or in the kedai pejabat. Actually, the way they categorize it also a bit confusing. But I mean, cut it short is that you can buy it from the pub, from the hotels, from all the shopping complexes, but you cannot buy it from kedai runcit, kedai sebeneka, and kedai ubat Cina. Okay, what is a kedai runcit? Sundry shop. You know what is kedai sebeneka? That means those shops are that something like sundry shop but operate for 24 hours. And also the kedai ubat Cina, the Chinese, we call Chinese medicine halls. The yok choi po, in Cantonese. So now, there's this whole new guidelines. They just restrict the small ones. That means the kedai runcit. That means the small shops, the sundry shops, and the Chinese herbal medicine, Chinese medicine hall. But you can buy it in supermarket, you can buy it in pubs, you can buy it in any other places. Actually, it doesn't make sense, Why does DBKL want to target these small group of, the small businesses. So this is what, we question, and we have been arguing with the minister over this. I just want to give you all a rundown. This morning I met with somebody who ran the chain, sundry shop. So he told me in KL we have about 1,000 kedai runcit. Okay, and that means those who operate during the daytime. And then we have about 1,000 Chinese medicine halls, and we also have 3,000 kedai serba negara. That means those that sundry shops that operate 24 hours. So if you, let's say every shop they have about 3 or 4 staff, let's say 4 staff in a shop, that means you're talking about it will affect the job peluang pekerjaan, the job opportunities, about 60,000 people, whether foreigners or locals, 60,000 people. And then also with the those pengilang, those involved in the liquor industry, and they also have about around 61,000 staff. So actually these industries, although we never go to check, the job opportunities and all that, but this industry for those who shops that sell liquors, actually those shops, we are actually having about 60,000 people, the workforce. So if you look at the taxation, what the government gets, right? What I have, the figure here is that cukai kerajaan terhadap tembakau dan alkohol for cigarettes and alcohol in 2018, the revenue for the government is 5.5 billion ringgit, and in 2019 is 7 billion ringgit for just cigarettes and the alcohol. And of course, those days before this MCO and the pandemic comes in, we used to have a lot of these, tourists, foreigners that come in, the tourists, and they consume alcohol and cigarette and so on. All this come up to 84 billion every year. That is revenue that in this tourism industry. So now what we are arguing now is that why does the government target the small shops, the small owners, and then these small owners, and a lot of them, they are run by non-Muslims. So, and those who buy liquors, they are the non-Muslims. Why does DBKL want to intervene and want to exclude this, allow liquor to be sold in the supermarket and so on, but exclude this type of small business owners? So these are the questions that we are asking now.
Okay, YB, thank you for your explanation. So this was a directive that came immediately after the fall of Pakatan Harapan, not immediately, but after the fall of Pakatan Harapan. It was Perikatan Nasional, and it was under that government's leadership that something like this was mulled in the first place. And the directive actually came out last year that it will come into effect this year, right? So, from last year until this year, were there moves or were there any conversations held with the previous Federal Territory Minister to at least not go ahead with such a thing? And I mean, I'm just wondering, why are we talking about it? It was spoken about last year, but wasn't there any pressure along the way prior to it being implemented, like all this while?
Okay, you see, the problem with us is, us means the MPs, there was no parliament sitting for quite a long period of time, right? And during this period, we never have chance to really have meeting with Anwar Musa, the former FT minister. And he is from Ketere, constituency of Ketere, Kelantan State. So for me, when he announced this, right, he was just trying to fish some political mileage for himself, because his constituency is Kelantan and they are almost 100% Muslims. I think he was trying to tell his voters that he had, fighting for no alcohol, ban of alcohol, even in Kuala Lumpur when he became the FT minister. So that time we made some noise, but because there was no opportunity for us to raise it in the parliament, and also no opportunity for us to have face-to-face discussion with the minister. So I think that time those merchants association, ALMA, that ALMA means Associated Alcohol Merchant Association. And also there are some other association related to the alcohol selling. They had made some efforts to write to the minister and met with the minister, but I think not very successful. So the whole thing, he gave a 1 year grace period and supposed to enforce in October this year. Then October this year, there was another change of prime minister, but under the same, coalition. So Shahidan Kassim came in. So right from day one, we started to engage Shahidan Kassim. That's why you saw us in the month of October. We did not make lots of noise because we tried to give him space. Shahidan came in something like end of August or September at that time. So we did, there have been a number of meetings with Shahidan. We highlighted to him this issue. We also brought those liquor sellers, merchants association people to come to see him, brief him. And we were really angry when 1st November, he suddenly came up with that directive, which, he had announced it to delay 1 month. 1 week prior to that, he told us that, we MPs from Harapan, that do not worry, it is going to be a win-win for, his side, as a Muslim, his side, and also from the non-Muslim, in the spirit of Keluarga Malaysia. But when we look at the directive, the new guideline, we really jump. That means he has been lying to us. For us, this is lying. He had been sweet talk to us for so many times, we met so many times, but what came out eventually, they are the same. So that's why we are so angry. Then, we decided that we shouldn't give him face anymore. We'll just come out and issue joint press statements. And yesterday in the Parliament sitting, I raised it in my speech, the budget speech, to criticize the minister, criticize DBKL for issuing such directive, which is for us is ridiculous. It's so unfriendly to business.
So you had mentioned that the minister Shahidan Kassim had said that it will be a win-win on his side for the Muslims. In what manner or in what ways are they seeking victory by limiting the sale of alcohol? How does that, do you think that, will you be aware of what kind of winning that he was talking about, or is it just about pleasing and making themselves look good in the eyes of their voters?
Yeah, you are right. His constituency is Arau. Arau is a northern state in Perlis. I think and then he also told me that, his mufti called him. Then, there are those resident association, the ulama also come to see him. So he wanted a win-win. Okay, for us, it's like, for me, the stand is like that, we respect. Yes, Muslim cannot sell, liquor, cannot touch liquor, all that, we accept that. But not to forget that liquor, those who run this business, those who sell, they are the non-Muslims. Why do you intervene into the business of the non-Muslim? Why do you, actually ALMA, that is an association of this, the Liquor Merchant Association, they already, all this while, they say their members throughout the countries, they already have their rules. That means they never sell to the Muslim, they never sell to teenagers, those who are below 21 years old. They also don't sell after 9 p.m. They follow all the guidelines. They don't sell liquor near to the places of worship, near to the school, near to the clinic, hospital, and all that. They have the standard guideline for their members. So if they have been following that, right, if any shop breach such rule, then the DBKL or enforcement can go after them. But the issue now is that you just stop all these small players, business players from selling liquor, which doesn't make sense. So like a lot of people, now you can buy liquor from pubs, hotels, but you have to buy with higher price. You can drink there. And then, the liquor licensing board, I think those members are really useless people. They should understand, they did not understand the industry. They didn't really engage with those liquor association merchants. So they thought that, you are going to encourage people to get drunk and all that. Hey, when you get drunk, if they get drunk at home, normally when we buy, right, You don't go to drink it at the Chinese medicine hall. You don't drink liquor like whiskey in the sundry shop. There's no place for you to drink. You buy is you consume at home. Or you might want to bring it to a function, an event, a function. You bring that. That is a proper place. You don't simply get drunk at the roadside. And not to forget that things like brandy, whiskey, they are pretty expensive, even wine. If you don't have, money, you don't simply buy all these expensive drinks. So those who drink, they are quite, a selected kind of people who have some money, the upper middle class or middle class people. And those who normally you see people drink is beer because it's cheaper, right? So there is no proper reason for them to ban the sundry shop, the Kedai Serba Nega and Chinese Medicine Hall to sell liquor. And I find that what made me really angry, actually, as a non-Muslim, as a Chinese, as somebody from DAP, I've been trying to avoid to talk about liquor. It's really not a good image, for me to keep talking about liquor and fight for the rights to sell liquor and so on. But when it comes to this stage, where it really affects this industry, and I think that this is a kind of process of Islamization that they even encroach into the non-Muslim business, that make me angry, that make me speak up for them.
Okay, YB, understand that your points and things that you were saying earlier, of course, even myself gave me a different perspective right now that it's being targeted very much for the small business players, especially the sundry shops and grocery shops, Kedai Serba Nega convenience stores that we know of. Usually they come in a very small scale, neighborhood based, and sale of alcohol is might be a good revenue for them, sometimes towards the weekend, sometimes towards end of the month, because they are based in housing areas. And I get it now, and it seems like the bigger players are just getting a pinch of it, while the smaller players are bearing the brunt of the law. And what's very much interesting was something that I picked up earlier, that you said that never sell to Muslims. So is there a way, or are you having any thoughts in your mind to possibly spin this around into a regulated selling hour to don't sell to Muslims? If that can be raised in your anecdotes, in your speeches in Parliament, do you think there will be any ways to reverse this current rule for now? Because I don't see a reason for DBKL to reverse on the rules without you presenting something heavier on the table for them to barter with. What do you think? Which one should be championed more?
If you look at this, the Garis Panduan, this one, it really, we present the ALMA, the Liquor Merchant Association. They presented to the minister the slide. One of the clauses they say that practiced by their members is they don't sell to Muslims, they don't sell to people who are underage. And the minister picked that up and put that in the new guideline, which they have no issues to solve. The issue now is that why do you restrict? You can go to supermarket to buy liquor. You can go to supermarket to buy brandy, whiskey, wine, but you cannot buy it from the convenience stores, cannot buy it from the sundry shops. This is what they don't understand. So now the job is, on Monday, a few days ago, Monday, when this association, the alcohol association people go to see the minister. So the minister suggested to them that, well, since the guideline already came out, maybe you can consider you apply to SSN to change the status from the shop to sundry shop to Pasar Raya to supermarket. Oh my God! So just now you have heard the figure that I mentioned, isn't it? So yes. At the moment we have about 10,000 kedai runcit sundry shops. We have about 3,000 the 24 hours a convenience store. So your total up is 13,000. They're supposed to be in the status of kedai runcit, Kedai Serba Nega, the small shops. Suddenly all become Pasar Raya. So then what is the difference, I want to ask, between Pasar Raya, supermarket, and the sundry shop? There's no more difference. You can have a small shop, operating for 24 hours. There are some shops only half only, right? but they will put some liquors there for the customers if they want to buy. Then it also will become pasar raya. So it doesn't make sense. Stupid suggestion from the minister. That is what I want to say.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it because, of course, does he not think of the consequences that people have to go through in order to upgrade from a small business to a larger business? And wouldn't that be borderline illegal, declaring yourself as a supermarket when your revenue and income is actually at the side of a grocery sundry shop? You're a lawmaker. You used to be in the government. Tell me, isn't that wrong I buy a Proton Saga, but I declare it as a Ferrari? BMW? Isn't that right? How is that right? And how is that ethically all right for people to practice and encouraged by a minister? Although it's not out yet, it is just by the members of the Association of Alcohol Industries that had shared this with you, right? Because has he announced it already, officially?
He told the association people. He has not really announced it. I think he is still cracking his head to see, the minister, I'm talking about minister, he's still cracking his head to see, how to, find a way so that it will be so-called win-win. The way is you back to status quo. You can have stricter enforcement.
Yes.
That don't sell to Muslims, don't sell to the teenagers and all that. You can have stricter enforcement. But you don't need to, change and make people so difficult. Moana, actually, I remember when this Ismail Sabri became the Prime Minister, he had announced 100 days for each and every cabinet minister. I just wonder, this 100 days, what are the great things that Shahidan had done to KL folks? I haven't heard anything in his announcement about, he's going to make KL the world-class city, what are his plans and all that. I haven't heard anything about this. What he had announced so far is to really split, the society. Really, it's a controversial announcement. Although he can blame it to the liquor licensing board, he can blame it to Anwar Musa, he inherited it and all that. Hey, for me, you are a minister. If the rules are unfair, you should rectify it. You should make it right. If you are a good Muslim minister, you need to be fair. This is the non-Muslim business. Drinking is the non-Muslim business. So you should just let the business be carried out as usual, but you can, you can enhance your enforcement. That one we have no issue. So now he got himself caught. He announced it. He got himself caught. And then he started to come up with all the funny proposal to upgrade the Ketai Renci, become the Pasar Raya and so on. He's just making himself a laughing stock.
It is very funny to know that someone from Perlis, bordering Thailand, coming up with rules for KL to limit the sale of alcohol when they are bordering Thailand, if you know what I mean lah. So
yes.
and of course this is a rule, it is not by him, it is just he inherited it and he made the announcement to make himself look good back home, cool. But KL and Selangor is not too far away. It borders a lot of other states that we can just pop over like, oops, let me just go over here and get something, like me going off screen, something like that, So is this all just another political fulfillment for certain quarters, or is this going to be something that the entire Malaysia is going to practice, like Singapore, like Thailand, like the UK, where hours are limited, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And YB, I want to share with you, as a media practitioner with friends who are professionals who are now fully working from home, they are actually feeling that, now I need to stock up even before I finish work because it's 9 p.m. Like if the logic was to limit people from drinking and driving on the streets, I think now it's going to be drinking and driving earlier on the streets, because we still have not got a solid result or a law to curb that yet. It seems like it's pressuring people to start drinking earlier. Don't you think this is what the sentiments of some younger generation or even older generation, the social media is speaking that way lah. So have you been hearing things like this, the kind of complaints and the witty outbursts that you've heard? Any sort of those?
Actually, at the moment, it has become an issue, in the media, especially in the Chinese media, and even I think in the Tamil papers also. and of course online media. This is for the Muslims, and many of them they are blurred, they are confused, they don't really understand the issue. That's why I want to say that this is a intervention on the non-Muslim business and also the eat and drink habit. And so the consumer side, I haven't heard much, but I think most people are, the non-Muslim, most people are angry with such an announcement. And also for, you see, we are talking about the sellers. So they are the sundry shops, they are the convenience store. Then people who go there and buy, nowadays you have to follow the SOP before you go to the shop. But after you buy, you chow, you go back to your house. So you go to your friend's house, to have a drink and so on. So if they, what do you call that? All this while it has been like that. So it what do you call that? The pub and all that, the business as usual. So that's why the minister say, oh, they can go to drink in the pubs, in the hotels, and so on. But this is not the issue. The issue now is they you need to that business to run, as usual. Because you see, in some shops, they can get a higher profit by selling wine, by selling liquor. So this is nowadays it's so hard to do business. Why do we stop all this, restrict all these shops from selling liquor and knowing that they are not selling to the Muslim?
Okay, so in terms of talking about profit, early lockdown we've ever had, and restaurants are open, F&Bs are open, and prior to the KL being locked down with whatever that we are locked down that we're going through in terms of alcohol and all that, right? So they've said that this revenue, it was actually an effect and the seizing of opportunity when we had F&Bs opened up, restaurants and pubs and even stores, sundry stores and grocery stores and all that. So I guess this will not be the same reporting in the following quarter because it has impacted Kuala Lumpur. And the question once again is, why meddle with the affairs of the non-Muslim and of their own, when they are consuming it themselves and they are not sharing it or selling it to other races who are not allowed to. So once again, it goes to that. And I would like to share one more question with you. I don't know if you've heard it, but I've started hearing of it, is that now they are telling us to only drink from, this is how the messaging is outside. There are different school of thoughts. One of the school of thoughts that's slowly emerging is, now they are telling us to drink from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. only. Next, are they going to tell us to eat only so and so meat, or from what time to what time can we eat that meat? Do you think such a rule, if when unchecked, will set precedents for future societal disruptions for the non-Muslims? It is there, it is around the corner, but what are your thoughts?
Possible, and as if they now pass is in the Perikatan Nasional, is in the government. So you also had read that the law, the Agama, Menteri Agama also talk about banning alcohol and these things. So the whole direction of the nation now is like towards the Islamization in a bigger way. And you also have heard that the RUU 355 will be introduced again, with tabled again in the parliament, and Kelantan is going to introduce something that is stricter on to what they call that, to restrict the Muslim from doing this and that. So it's actually getting worrying. Okay. It's getting worrying. They say, why this liquor issue? Although this is not something that I want to champion for it, but I just feel that it is so unfair. As Wakil Rakyat, if we don't speak up, that's why now you read a few statements issued by the 7 non-Muslim MPs in KL. So if we don't speak up, who are going to speak up for us? Because of this trend and this atmosphere, the Muslim MPs, they are a bit worried to take up issue like this because it's no good for them in the Muslim community. So there's like no choice, for us, the non-Muslim aid.
Yeah.
So when are we going to stop this kind of nonsense? I myself have been to some Islamic countries. I've been to Egypt, I've been to Jordan before. I see that in these countries, like even in Dubai, there is a freedom. And for good Muslims, they will not be misled by by buying pork, buying liquor, and so on. So this is a free will. God give us free will to choose what you want to eat, what you want to drink, whether you are Muslim or non-Muslim and all that. I have seen that in many occasions, like vegetarian, the Hindu or the Buddhist, and we all are eating meat in front of the vegetarian. But the vegetarian, they will sit in the table, they will be happily enjoy their vegetable, or whatever given to them. They will not be angry if the non-vegetarian eat meat in front of a vegetarian person. So we should have this kind of acceptance, We have different eating pattern, we have different drinking pattern. The government should respect that. So now they are restricting us on the salary, and it become like it has created the anger on the ground among the non-Muslim. Is created unhappiness in the business community, especially those who run the convenience store and the sundry shops and the Chinese medicine halls. Why does this government want to do that? It's something I don't understand.
Well, I guess that is a question that we will leave for the rightful people to answer, and we hope to get a very good answer very soon. YB, one final question in a very short yes or no answer. Do you foresee, or do you encourage, or are you okay? See, 3 different questions I asked already. Are you okay with this enforcement being applied throughout Malaysia? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
This is what I'm afraid of. Because if KL falls, we see that other local councils, they might follow suit. And if this trend goes on, it's worrying for this nation. Malaysia is a secular state, not a country for any particular religion.
Thank you. Thank you, YB, for your answers, and we will definitely want to speak with you again on the follow-ups right after we get the minister on the next interview session, hopefully, and then we will want to get back to you on this issue. And maybe that time around, just like you and I are not fans of talking about alcohol or champagning alcohol, but let's talk about why having conversations, or why are people involving themselves in the livelihoods or the lifestyles of the non-Muslim. Maybe we can have that kind of a conversation, but of course, we will have to address this also. YB, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on such a short notice. Hope you have a very good weekend in Malacca, I believe. All right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And
thank you.
Thank you, and we'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, to the viewers at home, there was our very quick, big live session with the Member of Parliament from Seputeh, YB Teresa Kok. I'm Mohana for BBTV. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to our social media pages, and most importantly, the BigBlueTV.com portal. Until we speak again, and we're out. Thank you.